Hi, and welcome to the DVD video guide for artistic premium software with me, Trevor Conquergood from Sunset Stitches. And I'll start by just letting you know if you'd like to find out more about me and the classes that I offer, you can visit my website, which is sunsetstitches.com. So this is going to be a quick, introduction to the artistic premium software and a little sort of orientation to the DVD video guide and how you can, best use it. The first thing I'll say is this DVD video guide is specifically about all of the new features that are found in artistic premium software. And by that, what I'm saying is they complement all of the features that are found in the Artistic Sewing Suite software. So I would like to refer you to the DVD video guide that was prepared for the Artistic Sewing Suite software for a lot of the features to do with, first of all, the creative drawing software, and then specifically in this set of videos, we'll be talking about the Wing software. And so in the first video guide for Artistic Sewing Suite, a lot of the features about the Wing software were already covered, and so I won't be, recording new videos for those features. So you'll need to make sure that you review, both DVDs. So you should find on this DVD a PDF printable page that has a video list that'll help you, review all of the videos that are available and what their topics are. And of course, I suggest the first go round that you might want to watch them in order, as I'll try to build on the topics, and so in the later videos I'll assume that you understand certain things. But that said, I think that with a quick review of the video list, you can find the specific video that you might want to review at a later time to go over the specific topics that are found in each video. So all of that said, I'm going to pop over to the Wings software, and because that is where all of the features for Artistic Premium are found. And I thought what I could do is just start by, creating a new design and kind of browsing through some of the core functions that we're going to be learning about in the process of this DVD. So I'm just going to simply press on New to create a new design, and we can define in here, the size and height and width of, the workspace. So imagine you're creating, like the size of your sewing area, and the number of colors for your palette to choose from. You can set things like that, choose a template to work from. So these are things that we'll get into in more detail, but in general I just want to say okay to start a new design. And I didn't already insert some artwork because in the first step there was that option, but I thought I would show you also once the design is started, I could now go to the File drop-down menu, and I can choose to import either bitmap or vector artwork. So if you want to digitize or create embroidery, generally we look for artwork. Now, this is opening up a window, and this window is showing us the contents of the samples that came with the Creative Sewing Suite software. So when I installed my Artistic Sewing Suite software, there was a folder that was installed for me. It's just found underneath my public documents. And so from your hard drive, you look down and it's on the public documents. And from there, I found the creative drawing samples. Yeah. So inside of this folder, there's all sorts of artwork that you could select. And these are, I believe, mostly, if not all, vector artwork. Which is great because it makes it kind of a little bit easier to digitize from. And you can simply click on something and then say open, and it's going to put that artwork onto your screen. Alright, now before I go too far with this video, maybe what I'll do is just give a quick orientation of the workspace in the Artistic Premium software. So at the top you've got your drop-down menus, and as I browse through the topics of the drop-down menus, you'll notice that a lot of these topics are going to be found with buttons on the toolbars. However, some things are specifically found within these drop-down menus, And like I said, a lot of the topics under these drop-down menus will have been covered in the original DVD video guide, but I'll be making sure to talk about all of the things that are new in Artistic Premium. So underneath the drop-down menus, you've got your kind of standard toolbar with your most important sort of things like new and open to save, and save to a write to a floppy diskette, printing, cut, copy, paste, undo, redo, the magnification amount, select all and unselect and invert selection, view and don't view objects, or hide or view, I guess, travel through your objects, and show things like, the stitch marks, travel up to your cursor, show filled outlines in a slow redraw tool. This is, I guess, your color palette where you're going to select the colors for your design. You could click on this button to edit the color palette and bring up the color management, I guess, interface or toolbar. Beside it, you've got your functions like thread trims and other functions that, some of them that are new. For example, the move entry and move exit points, head selections. So some of these things are been added since Artistic Sewing Suite. Over here on the right, I've got, I guess, a little bit of a menu that right now is displaying my object properties, but notice that there's little tabs here. So this is showing object properties. I could click over here. This is the transform tab. This is the sequence manager tab. So there's different tabs to see different sets of information over here on the right. And down at the bottom, there's like an image map that even as I zoom in on the design over here, it shows me the entire design and kind of at a glance shows me a box around what part of the design I'm looking at, and I can even use this to move around the artwork and I guess view the part that I want. So that's things that you can do with your image map. And on the left-hand side, you've got your toolbar that has all of your selecting, editing, and create something tools. So a lot of these tools I would have covered in the original DVD video guide for Artistic Suite, but some of them are specifically new tools like the Digitize tool and the Auto Digitize tool and the lettering tool, the weld tool and the trim and the intersect. These are things that have been added, and they really interact. These tools here, for example, Digitize, this interacts with the object properties window on the right. So as an example, I'm going to digitize this red heart. And so the first thing I would need to do is choose the style of stitching. And I'll just show you, this is kind of like a roll-up that I can choose from manual, running, satin, step, zigzag, satin serial, row fill, photo stitch, cross stitch, and chenille. These are different styles of stitches, and depending on the one that I choose, it'll actually, I guess, change the way the tool operates. So I'll be going through all of the types of stitches and how the tool works with them in the upcoming videos. So for now, why don't I just choose step, which means I'm just going to fill in the red shape with a sort of standard fill, and I'm just going to come over here and click on the Digitize tool. And the first thing that I need to do, and it actually tells me down in the bottom left-hand corner of the window, it says give direction. Press the right button to cancel. So if I want to cancel using the tool, I can right button. Otherwise, it wants me to show the direction of the fill. In other words, I need to put in 2 points, and those 2 points are setting the direction of this red heart's fill. Now, notice, because remember we had vector artwork selected, when I get close to it, it kind of wants to snap to it. And I'm just going to click on the outline of the red, and I can come over here, and as I click on the outline of the red, it actually snaps to the shape. So that's one of the benefits of working with vector artwork, is that as I sort of scroll around the heart, it easily makes it match the shape just by me clicking, I guess a few times around the shape. Now, I've got myself zoomed in. I can, as I move my mouse towards the edge of the screen, it will kind of automatically pan away like that. Otherwise, I could zoom out, and then I wouldn't have, I guess, that need for the screen to pan. So when I finish drawing these points, so basically as I click the first one over top of the last one, it becomes like a completed shape, and if I right click, it completes making that shape. And if I it asks me to give an exit point, so I can either choose, for example, I'll have the red finish sewing down at the bottom here, or I could just right click and it will pick a spot for me. So in my case, I chose this specific point at the bottom. And if I right click again, it finishes using the tool, and I'm no longer digitizing, and I've created a heart shape. And that heart shape is a step, and the settings of the step are found here, and we'll be going through all of the different, ways that you can adjust a step and a satin serial and all the different types of stitches, because this menu will change depending on the type of stitch that you use to create your shapes. So just as an example, right now the density is set at 1 millimeter. That's a little bit of an open density. You would be able to see through that. If I want to change it, I simply come in here and type in, for example, 0.4 is a standard, style of density that would cover your fabric if stitched out. And you can choose things like the underlay, stitch lengths, all sorts of settings that we'll be going through. Before I go any further, I'll digitize the blue heart so that I can show you how I can interact with them together. And so again, I have to give it an angle, and perhaps I'll just choose this angle, and then again I'll just start clicking on the heart shape, and it snaps to the shape and puts stitches along the edge of the shape. Oh, now one of my stitches here missed the shape, and I can tell that because it doesn't look like it's hugging the shape very well. So what I'm going to do is hit delete or backspace on my keyboard and just make sure that my objects look like they're following the shape nicely. And then when I get down to the bottom here, maybe I'll just scroll in so that I can be specific on that spot. There we are. So this is a good example of creating an embroidery design from artwork using the Artistic Premium software, where I'm actually taking a little bit more of an old-fashioned approach to it, really, or a professional digitizer approach, really, is what it is, because I have full control over the digitizing process doing these types of steps. Now, it's asking me to give direction. I'm just going to right-click to say I'm done. And so what I've done is I've created two objects. They're both red. If I click, remember I showed you there's tabs. If I click on the sequence tab, you'll be able to see that there's a large red heart and there's a smaller red heart. There's also the image or the artwork. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select that smaller red heart, the one that sews first, and then it's actually covered up by the larger red heart that comes second. So what I thought I would do is take the one that was smaller in the middle and just bring it on top of the one that I digitized second. So I was thinking, from the center out, but realistically I'd like this heart to be seen on top of the fill. So I need to right click and change the order to the front. And so you'll see things like this right click menu is one of the things that we'll go through in the video today, and it changes depending on the style of embroidery, depending on what is selected. Your right click menu will change. In this case, we're just going to bring the red heart to the front of the design, and for that matter, notice with the select tool I can just click on the hearts to select them. So if I want to select the smaller one, I can click on it. If I want to select the larger one, I can click on that. And I'll just change the color of the larger one to be a different color so that it's a little bit more obvious which one is which. So now you can see. Why don't I just type P on my keyboard to give you kind of a preview of what I've created. So some fabric with a purple heart and a red heart on it. And if I turn the show up to cursor on, I can slow redraw this. And you'll actually see how it's going to stitch out. And so notice that the heart in the background so, entirely underneath the red heart that's going to come on top. And so we could maybe decide that we don't want that to be that way. So I'll stop that and close the slow redraw and turn off that show up to cursor feature. And I can work in, the 3D preview mode if I want to. I could select on these hearts and make changes to them. But if I turn off the 3D preview, then I could see the artwork. So that's, anyhow. What I wanted to do now is show with this heart, because the red one's on top of the blue one, if we want to have the red one, I guess, remove the stitches where they overlap with the blue one, we need to select both of those objects. So I'm going to click on one and hold Shift and click on the other one, and I've selected two objects, and I'm just going to use the tools. So if there's shaping tools, they actually have buttons here on the right, or on the left, sorry, Weld, Trim, and Intersect, and you can also get to them by right-clicking over top. And then you have shaping, and it's weld, and trim, and intersect. And it's trim that I want to use. So we're going to trim the red shape from the blue shape. And you'll notice now, if I click and just move this red shape off of where it was, so you can see that the blue shape has got a hole. We trimmed the red out of the blue. And I'll just hit undo. And so therefore, if I hit slow redraw again, turn on the show up to cursor and hit slow redraw, and I think you can't see very well the color of the blue over top of the blue, so why don't I turn on that 3D preview so that we can see it a little better. And so you can see now that I've changed the design by, I guess, using the trim function. So it's cut the hole out of the light blue heart, and that way we've avoided that overlapping. All right, so I'll turn off the preview. And maybe just a couple more examples of things that we can do using Artistic Premium and some of the new, I guess, features. So, for example, I'll select the red heart, and I'm going to choose the Tools menu and ask for an auto border, and it's going to give me an automatic border around it. It's going to be a satin serial along the outside of the heart. 1 millimeter wide at the 0 distance, so I'm not offsetting it. It's going to go right around the shape, and I'll say OK. And so you'll see there's your, again with the preview, see what I put on. So same thing, grab the blue one, Tools, Auto Border, OK. So now we have created a shape. And you could do, there's so many things, just a couple more examples. Maybe if I right click on top of the red heart, notice that I can change. First of all, I could choose to add an envelope. And when you add envelopes, you can choose from predetermined shapes, or you can create your own. But a simple example of an envelope would be, I'll grab one of the complex envelopes, such as this wavy one like this, and see how I can change the value of it to adjust the waves, the shape of it, I guess. So I'll say OK. And when it's done, if I click off, you might be able to see a little better and turn on the preview. It's created the shape of the envelope just on the stitches. Now, and that's something that we get to control. So there's going to be all these things that we're going to learn about, such as when I have this red heart selected and I choose Object Properties, and we have Envelope turned on, there's choices on outline, on stitches, and on direction. And because it's set on direction, it only adjusts the direction of the stitches and does not touch the actual shape of the heart. So it's interesting. And remember before I had the density turned to 1. Why don't we change that back to 1 again? And now you can see how that affects your ability to see how we've added this envelope to the thread. So that was just, I guess, a short video to give you an sort of idea of how you're going to work with the Artistic Premium software. And now what I'd like you to do is to review each of the video clips that I'm going to prepare that go over all of the tools and features that are new in Artistic Premium.